So the Donald Trump clown show continues.
What's going on today?
Well, they're planning a special event just for you. And you. And you. What's this new event?
UFC.
Yes, UFC at the White House. Check this out.
So every one of our national park, battlefields, and historic sites are going to have special events in honor of America 250. And I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have, does anybody watch UFC, the great Dana White? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little, we're not, Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events, but the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too. And
I don't
know. Can you believe this?
Yeah, it's
White House. White House.
I need a drink.
Not the Trump Hotel. White House.
Here's to UFC, I guess. All right. So, yeah. So, if you guys have been following this story, we always talked about Donald Trump being like a TV show, right?
Yeah, but now literally he makes White House a TV show.
Yeah, and the phrase you want to use is called bread and circus.
Oh.
Do you know what country that comes from?
The Rome.
Yeah, I don't know if they would call that a country because now it's Italy, but back then we'll say the Roman Empire. But the basic idea is that instead of actually addressing people's problems, you entertain them.
So
right?
In Korea, we had a same idea. We call it 3S.
Oh, okay. What's the 3S?
Sports, sex, screen.
And what's screen?
Screen like movie, TV, you know. So, you know, back then there was a military coup era, military, you know, the how can I say, the predator?
Was that?
Not the president?
Yeah.
He was a president.
Well, it was, you can say dictator.
Yeah, dictator, and you know, they don't want people focus on any political problem. They just give them a, you know, their you know, like something to enjoy.
Wait, okay.
That's what exactly Trump does, like 40 years ago, like Korea tried to do.
Well, but this has gone for a long time, right? That's why I mentioned the Roman Empire. Because the idea is, and this is the question, right, for people who liked him to say, well, Chris, you're so dumb. I mean, UFC is really fun, so like that. Well,
I know it's fun, but not in White House.
Okay, well, you have to think about this, though. So what is essentially the number one problem that people have? Like, just in general, when
job?
That's basically what it is, right? And so the question I pose to you is, if the President of the United States is like, hey, guys, I'm going to have a military parade, right? Because that was one of those things that he did recently. Does that help you get a job?
And, you know, you're going to shoot other country.
Right. Does that help you get a job, right? So start a war to basically distract you and look how cool our weapons are, right? Does that help you get a job? And now it's, hey, we're going to have like two guys fighting in UFC and he's like 20, 25,000 people, you know, I guess we're building a stadium now at the White House. Does that help you get a job? And at this point, I mean, I'm thinking, are they going to build the Roman Colosseum? Why not?
And they put the tiger and alligator there.
Yeah, why not? Because the alligator thing, actually, that they've been talking about that. You guys know this with the Alligator Alcatraz thing. It's just like, it is, you got to take another drink, right?
Crazy. Are you, I don't know. Are you happy for that, Americans? I'm not sure.
So some of the people, here's the weird part. So whenever, like because I have to check social media, right? And I check more the right-leaning people, you know, the people who literally took money from Russia. The Benny Johnson guy, stuff like that.
I just want everyone to know that there's official Alligator Alcatraz merch. There it is, provided to us by the state of Florida. Incredible. And yeah, would you rock this drip? Look at that.
We need Congress to pass the big, beautiful bill which contains the funding that ICE desperately needs to carry out the mass deportation agenda.
Now, we reach out to other states, Stephen, and a lot of them are open to helping. Alaska told us that we don't have alligators, but we have lots of bears. However, they aren't aware of any plans for an Alaska version of bear. I said bear Alcatraz. So, Stephen, there's good news there.
I was frankly sick. I know we're laughing about it, but But that's what these people are. They like laugh and enjoy other people's misery. It's like really awful. It's hard to talk about this stuff, but we have to share it to you in a way that makes sense because some people will be like, oh, he's the worst president in history, which is true for the USA, right? But this stuff has been done before in the past. Like these are old playbooks, you know. Or here's another example. So you know, if you think about the countries that have like the most popular soccer teams, right? It's going to be like a Brazil, like in Argentina, these kind of things, and it's going to be places again. They don't want you to think about your problems. Hey guys, we got a great soccer team.
Yeah.
You know, we saw a report, I think, was it Argentina? There was like people who would like use a year's salary to go see the game or something crazy. Do you remember this stuff?
Probably.
I think it might have been Argentina because you were the one who was telling me about that. Because like after they won.
No, it was like UK, no?
No, it was like, I remember it was because I don't think UK won FIFA World Cup. If you guys can let me know in Britain if you won the FIFA, maybe they have. I don't think so. I think it's more like an Argentina thing. No, they don't win. Sorry, UK. And to be fair, like the Americans don't win either. We don't invest in it basically.
Oh,
What's
actually, now I'm thinking that the education, the head of education is from UFC, right?
She's from WWF, which is professional wrestling.
Oh, a little bit different.
No, but it's the same.
It's all connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Trump even by name mentions the CEO of the UFC. He's like, Dana White's going to set this up. What's that?
Yeah, now I'm just thinking that he keep a lot of Trump coin probably.
That's not out of the question. So again, all this stuff. Ugh. That's why we're out drinking today over lunch. All this stuff though is based on they want to keep you entertained and not focusing on what the solutions are. So we should really be talking about it because for any other candidate or president in history, like if a president started selling you fragrances, perfume, that like say, hey, if you want to smell like the president, you know, buy this thing.
That's not a first thing he's selling, right?
Right. That would be like a massive scandal. So for the Trump people, they would always make a big deal about Hunter Biden. That was the Biden son, which was like one of the kids, right? And he's like, oh, look at Hunter Biden doing this, Hunter Biden that. But honestly, it's nothing compared to what the Trump kids are up to.
They're doing Trump coin.
Yeah.
Trump phone.
Like an actual crypto scam. Or, for example, the deal with Vietnam, or I should say deal with Vietnam, Eric, the kid, is like in Vietnam negotiating the hotel, like where they're going to build the casino and resorts and that stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked, and you guys can let me know, say in UK, right? Because I haven't heard it yet, but I wouldn't be shocked because that was one of the first people that Trump talked to. Is there a new resort happening in London or something? If you guys are, because you guys might hear that might be more local news. If you guys know any new resort happening in the UK, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, you know, if right now they're in a sort of a stall with Japan or stall with Korea. If suddenly we start building the Trump hotels here in Korea, like you know, who knows? It wouldn't put out of the question.
Great deal, 40% on transshipping. Can we expect any more of that before next week, sir?
So we have a couple of other deals, but my inclination is to send a letter out and saying what tariff they're going to be paying. It's just much easier. We have, far more than 170 countries. And how many deals can you make? And you can take good deals, but they're very much more complicated. I'd rather, and I've been like this from the beginning, I'd rather send out a letter saying this is what you can pay to do business in the United States. And I think it'll be well received. I think it's just so many countries. And, then they go specific. Let's do this, let's do that, beef, ethanol. And I'd rather just do a simple deal where you can maintain it and control it. You're going to pay a 20% or 25 or 30% tariff.
You brought in a record amount.
We're going to be sending some letters out starting probably tomorrow, maybe 10 a day, to various countries saying what they're going to pay to do business with the U.S.
Talking about trade, actually, Korea is an interesting one. The Korean president here was like, basically...
It's not soft.
No. Yeah, he's actually standing tall. And they're negotiating over quite a lot of things. Them and Japan. So Korea and Japan, I wouldn't expect to back down. EU is not going to back down.
And he's not gonna. Our president, he's not gonna, back out or like not knowing the pretend know something. He literally study every day. He read the paper every day.
Yeah.
And he said he doesn't even want to go to vacation.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, but he has to because then his staff can rest too.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But you know, I've actually honestly been really impressed with the current Korean president because the guy before was extremely corrupt.
He's corrupt and he's just go to the fortune teller
No,
thing.
for real, for real. It's ridiculous. Well, it's just like the Trump. He has a faith office.
Yeah.
And this is actually funny. Did you know about this?
Psychic, you know, there is a psychic.
Yeah. It's like a psychic line, right? No, but true story. I don't know if you knew this. So the faith office of the Trump people, they had a call, and I guess it was they used AT&T or whatever. And so then Trump was complaining that AT&T service broke and stuff like that. So it was kind of a bizarre thing.
That's why he says that, because they try, you know, their Trump phone service, they have to borrow some sort of a line. So AT&T give them a maybe bad deal. That's why he says that.
Who knows? Well, some people were saying that he was attacking AT&T to try to get you to sign up for his service. Like, see, look how bad the stupid AT&T is.
No, I thought opposite. They tried to negotiate with them, but
and they gave
said
a bad
no.
service.
Yeah.
It could be. You know, if you guys have any details of that. But it was a weird thing to send out to talking about that our faith call didn't quite work.
Yeah.
And then one person wrote in the comments as a joke, it was like, well, I mean, if you guys believe this stuff, why don't you just pray to fix your phone line? Yeah, why not? But going to the Korea situation is actually interesting because sometimes people like to know about the details of the trade stuff. And they just came out today in the Financial Times. It's actually really extensive. Trade talks are really complicated. So let me give you an example. So Trump is saying, you, Korea, and Japan, you got to pay a bunch of tariffs. And okay, we put it this way. There'll be tariffs on your cars, but really the Americans pay the tariffs. I want to make that clear. But basically, he wants to put tariffs on, you know, cars. So it'd be a Hyundai, Kia, Honda, Toyota, that kind of stuff. And then the idea is that Korea or Japan are going to build all their factories in USA. Now, already, Korea does have factories in USA, right? They do. I think Kias and Hyundais are built there. Like, how many more can you build? But we have a problem with Samsung. So, for example, Samsung promised, and it's a lot of money. It was like $44 billion to build like a chip thing in Texas. The news just came out that they're halting production for now. There's not enough orders.
Yeah, no one's ordering. Why? I don't know. Why do you need to build more factory?
Yeah, that's the point.
Same as, you know, Tesla. They stopped their factory because not enough order.
Right, that kind of stuff. So the point being is, like, no matter what Trump promised you, you have to understand this is part of a larger thing. No one's going to come build if they know you're leaving in a couple of years and it takes a long time to build said thing. Yeah. And they're better off just like negotiating with the next person. So
even your own company doesn't do that. Why should we do? Even, you know, the Amazon says no. You know, other like Nike says no.
Well, we have an interesting situation happening also because, again, I talked about in the beginning. This is all about jobs. We have a situation with India and Apple, effectively. Well, it's really Foxconn to be technical. So Foxconn, they're the company. Do you know what they make? They were in Shenzhen too when we were there. They make iPhones. Oh yeah, it's the big iPhone factory. So there's a Foxconn in India, and I don't know exactly how many numbers. I read it, but they didn't say exactly. But China was telling the workers, I guess there's Chinese workers at the Foxconn factory in India. I just thought it was interesting. They're telling them to come back to China. So the point is when China's telling the workers to come home, it is part of the negotiations going on because remember. The whole war is between U.S. and China.
Yeah, don't work for U.S. company, basically.
Well, if you are, you're gonna do it in China. Don't move. No. China's saying don't move your production to India.
Yeah, I see.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the other issue would be Apple could theoretically move their production to Vietnam, but these are connected. So one of the deals that Trump was trying to make was if products start in China, but then go through Vietnam, we're going to tax that like at 40%. Because that's a way to kind of wash the origin. But here's the caveat here. This could be for show. Yeah. Do you know what that means? Yeah. How would it be for show? Do you understand?
Because not it's the actual like manufacturer there and you're just showing that, you know, we don't have to pay, ha ha ha.
It's kind of. So it's more like it really does come from China, goes to Vietnam, but we don't police that. We don't enforce it. Right? It's like so because the idea of any sort of trade negotiation, every side needs to say that they won. So that whole thing going on with Vietnam is a way to attack China, but then it may not amount to much anyway because at the end of the day, consumers want their phones, right? Just think about that. Think about from Trump's point of view. Remember, he just wants to get money in his pocket, right? And just from also just a popularity standpoint, if people are like, "Where's my dang phone?" or when people see the price of the phones and they're just like, pretty obvious it's from tariffs, and
It's
Apple
like
come out
same
and
as
say,
my car. Full price is same as my car.
yeah. I mean, that's going to come back to bite them. So this stuff that they're trying to pull is not sustainable. But Sam went on TV. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
They asked about the whole Vietnam thing and regarding, say, shoes, like a Nike. This is what actually Basant said. He said that the company margins, like Nike's margins, are like way too high, and that they need to go back to normal.
What?
So no, I mean they do make money over at Nike and such, but it was fascinating for him to say that.
That is kind of communist. You
you make too much money?
Yeah, you make too much money. You have to, reduce your margin. And, America, Korea.
That's a good point.
We said invisible hand. Just let,
let the market decide.
But they're like, no, your margin is really big. You don't have to, do that.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy thing to say because Basant always brags that he's like a Wall Street person. And so that would be he says a lot of bizarre things. But so the thing with Basant, though, he's not dumb. He knows what he's saying.
And he's smart enough to, he's the coffee guy, right?
Yeah, the coffee guy.
Yeah, so he's smart to fix his coffee habit.
I think he's been
TV.
watching my videos.
On TV. I noticed that he's a lot more smile and gentle. His attitude.
Yeah, but he still pauses quite a lot when you ask him a tough question.
Because that pause time, that is coffee time.
Yeah, okay. that's probably correct because that's essentially then he starts to either tell a lie or mistruth.
Yeah.
Here's another thing with the negotiations with Korea and USA. If you guys are curious on the details, one has to do with, it's interesting. They want Korea to invest in Alaska with I think it's with natural gas stuff.
Oh.
And it was funny because the Koreans were doing background check or investigation on is it safe to invest there with the environmental stuff?
Yeah.
And they don't trust the Trump numbers or the Trump, what they're saying.
Yeah.
So just think about make it really simple. If Trump says, hey guys, we'll do trade with you, but you have to invest in our company or whatever. And
our numbers, this, you have to pay this because you are spending this amount of money.
But the Koreans aren't going to okay, I'll just give you the number. Right. No, we're talking about a lot of money. And so that's what I'm saying. The Koreans looked into it and they don't trust doing business with Trump in Alaska. I thought that was really fascinating. And there's another one also, which is shipbuilding. So the Trump's trying to get Koreans to invest a whole bunch in the shipbuilding. It's the same kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So that's where your guys' president's doing it right. He's kind of saying the July 9th deadline's coming, but we're not going to try to rush this through.
He is not a yes man. He's not. He's studied.
And I think Japan's going to be the same, and I think Europe's going to be the same also. So that's just an update of what's going on. I want to hear your thoughts. Be careful out there, and don't fall for the UFC fighting. As exciting as Trump makes it sound, it's a bread and circus and won't solve your problem. So thanks again, and we'll take it all the next time. So bye.